You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Chip Gilchrist, voice of the Kingston Frontenacs. You're listening to OHL Overtime, an in-depth interview show highlighting the players, coaches, and broadcasters from around the Ontario Hockey League who make the league so great, as well as in-person coverage of events such as the OHL Playoffs, OHL Championship Series, OHL Combine, and more, exclusively on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Here's your program host, Brandon Caputo.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of OHL Overtime and another Friday Night Faceoff preview episode right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. I'm your host of the program, Brandon Caputo. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in on the video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, smash that bell, and comment your thoughts on today's episode. And thank you to all of our loyal on-demand audio platform listeners. Make sure to give us some love on whatever platform you chose to listen to us on today. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, everywhere else that you guys listen to your podcast on demand. We really appreciate it. You can also give us a follow on X at Armchair GM Pod, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network for all of our short reels and content. Tomorrow night's matchup on Friday Night Faceoff, the Niagara IceDogs coming into town to Ottawa, the nation's capital, to take on the Ottawa 67s in a 6-3 matchup right now within the Eastern Conference, and two teams that have gone to battle many times in the past in the OHL playoffs. Will be interesting to see if they face off once again in this 2026 installment in the next month or so. So it'll be really interesting to see where these two teams shape out. As far as the guests on today's show, we're going to hear from Grayson Tiller, the overage defenseman of the Niagara IceDogs, a St. Catharines native, coming back to his hometown team to finish out his overage season in his 5th year in the Ontario Hockey League. He's played over 250 games in this league and been a great ambassador for the Ontario Hockey League game. He's committed to Brock University right in the backyard to play U Sports next year, and as well to continue his academics in business management, and comes over from a division rival in the Barrie Colts over the last 4 years within the Central Division. Nice to have friends and family be able to cheer for him on this side for 34 home games this season. As far as the Ottawa 67 side, we're going to go from an overager to a draft eligible, and that is goaltender Ryder Fedderolf, a guy that has come over from the United States, developed there, grew up just outside of Pittsburgh. We're going to talk to him a little bit about his upbringing as well, coming through the game. And again, with the rule change with the NCAA eligibility, players being able to come over, signed last June with the Ottawa 67s as a free agent, and has played phenomenally well for the Ottawa 67s, and a reason why they're sitting 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, and again, still battling with that Brantford Bulldogs team for that top spot in not only the East Division, but also the Eastern Conference. At the time of recording this episode, the Brantford Bulldogs currently have a 7-point lead on the Ottawa 67s. The Ottawa 67s have one less game played. Brantford has sort of taken the lead in that, but the two teams have been leapfrogging each other back and forth over the last month or so. And again, an Ottawa team that under Dave Cameron, is going to be one of the most efficient, defensively sound teams. They don't give up a lot of goals. Actually, they give up the least amount of goals in the Ontario Hockey League, and a team that added some pieces at the trade deadline to be able to put themselves over the top and have a real chance in this Eastern Conference against the Bulldogs this season. As far as the IceDogs go, they're sitting 6th place in the Eastern Conference right now, in a fight for that number 5 spot and possibly even the number 4 spot with the Peterborough Petes and North Bay Battalion, respectively. The IceDogs 57 points in 54 games, 4 points back of the Battalion for 5th place, and have a 5-point cushion over the Kingston Frontenacs between that 6th and 7th seed. So right now, this would be a preview of the first round in the Ontario Hockey League's Eastern Conference in that 3-6 matchup. So I'll have to wait and see if these are the two teams that will go at it in that spot. But again, for the IceDogs, a team under Chris Barch, their head coach, former NHLer, and first-time general manager Frank Evola, both in their first year, have really changed the culture around there in Niagara and have them playing a certain brand of hockey. It's been fun to be able to see that team have some success this year and want to build off their first playoff appearance since the 2018-19 season last year, when they went down in 5 games to division rival Barrie Colts. So they're obviously going to want some better results there and continuing to develop that franchise back into a competitive playoff team year in and year out like they have been known for in their past. Mentioning Ryder Fedderolf, he's currently the 15th ranked North American goaltender on the Central Scouting's midterm ranking. So again, a guy that's very sought after and a guy that has a lot of hopes for the upcoming draft in Buffalo to have his name called and walk across that draft floor. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. on Flow Hockey's social media platforms. Ottawa enters third in the Eastern Conference, as I mentioned, with 79 points, trailing the Brantford Bulldogs for top spot in the East Division and in the overall conference standings. The 67s continue to rely on a balanced offensive group and steady goaltending as the regular season moves into its final stretch. Overage forward Cooper Foster leads Ottawa in scoring with 22 goals and 52 points, while 2026 import draft eligible forward Jesper Kuta has paced the team in goals with 27. On the back end, late 2008 born defenseman Cohen Ishkokkigan continues to draw attention. Although not draft eligible until 2027 due to his late birthday, Ishkokkigan has produced 42 points, the 8th most amongst OHL defensemen this season. In goal, the aforementioned draft-eligible Ryder Fedderolf has been among the league's best. He sits second in the OHL with a 2.12 goals against average and a .922 save percentage, while his 24 wins ranked 4th in the Ontario Hockey League. Niagara sits 6th in the Eastern Conference and remains in the hunt for home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs. The IceDogs continue to chase the Peterborough Petes and the North Bay Battalion in the middle of that conference race, as I mentioned earlier. The IceDogs are led offensively by Vancouver Canucks prospect and Grayson Tiller's teammate from the Barrie Colts, now with the Niagara IceDogs, in Riley Patterson, who tops the team with 32 goals and 70 points, signing his entry-level contract. Captain Ethan Zada has added 22 goals and 41 points, providing veteran leadership down the stretch. Top 2026 draft-eligible prospect Ryan Robrick remains out of the lineup after back-to-back 30-goal seasons, while 16-year-old rookie sensation Ryerson Edgar has been one of the league's most productive first-year players, leading all 2009-born skaters with 18 goals and 39 points, recently committed to the University of Michigan down the road. Between the pipes, late 2007 born import goaltender Vladislav Yermolenko has handled the majority of the starts in Niagara. He's carried a 17-14-2-1 record with an .899 save percentage and a 3.37 goals against average. With Ottawa pushing for top spot in the conference and battling Niagara for playoff positioning, Friday's matchup presents to be another important step forward to the postseason for both of these clubs. That's a quick synopsis of what to expect from the game tomorrow night, IceDogs and 67s on Friday Night Faceoff. Going to take you to the interviews now with Grayson Tiller and Ryder Fedderolf. Get both ends of the spectrum here from these hockey clubs that are going to be appearing on Friday Night Faceoff. We're going to start off with Grayson Tiller of the Niagara IceDogs, overage defender, playing at home in front of his hometown crowd in St. Catharines before he moves on to play U Sports at Brock University. And then shortly after, we'll hear from draft-eligible goaltender Ryder Fedderolf, growing up in America, moving here to Canada, playing out his junior hockey career in the Ontario Hockey League and having that opportunity this season. So we're going to take you to those interviews right now, starting off with Grayson Tiller, the hometown boy of the Niagara IceDogs. Friday Night Faceoff goes tomorrow night from Ottawa up at TD Place, 67s and Niagara IceDogs in an Eastern Conference battle. Pleased to be joined on the lead up, first off, by Grayson Tiller, overage defenseman of the Niagara IceDogs, St. Catharines native, playing in his final OHL season in his hometown. Grayson, really appreciate you coming on today to preview this for us, but just in generality, your overage season, playing for the IceDogs, you're with the Barrie Colts your first 4 years, playing a lot of games down there at the Meridian Center as an away player. How's it been this year to put on the hometown colors and have your hometown friends and family see you more times than not?
Yeah, first off, thank you for having me today. And it was been special coming home my last year in the OHL. Playing in front of friends and family every game is obviously special, and I've always enjoyed playing at the Meridian Center, and I love the atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess, talking a little bit about, you haven't had a lot of time to reflect yet because obviously you're still playing in your final junior hockey season, but maybe over the 5 years in the Ontario Hockey League, what's something maybe you'll take with you than when you came into the league as a 16-year-old?
Yeah, I would just say as I've grown as a person off the ice, my leadership skills, my time management skills, I've kind of grown from a little boy and a teenage boy moving away at 16 to now a man at 20, turning 21 this week. So looking back on my just off the ice, I would say growing as a human.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe, during your time in Barrie, maybe as a first or second year player, was there maybe a player or two that you really was most influential on your career and maybe helped you along and helped you grow into maybe the man and the leader that you are now?
Yeah, I would say Nathan Allenson. He was in OA my first year. He's playing at the University of Guelph right now, and we still talk most weeks, if not daily. Um, yeah, he kind of took me under his wing and kind of showed me the ropes of how everything works in this league, and I give a lot of credit to him.
Yeah, you guys had quite the amount of talent there in Barrie over your first couple years. Do you think that made you better, just being able to go up against some of those guys in practice every day? You know, the Brant Clarks of the world, the Ethan Cardwells. Like, you guys had so many great players come through that organization through your first couple of seasons. Do you think that really, elevated you to make you better?
Yes, for sure. And I think, yeah, even Evan Vierling and Tyson Forster, we had so many different guys that would come and they're unbelievable to practice against and definitely made me a better player.
For sure. And talking a little bit about, your next steps here. Obviously, you've committed to Brock for next season, as well as your academics. What was the reason to other than it being right in your backyard and being able to live at home while you go to university? Why did you choose the Brock Badgers for your hockey career and your academics as well?
Yeah, I would just say the program that TJ has over there is very special. I would say in U Sports, they've obviously been at the top of the standings the last few years, and they start their playoffs this week. And academically, I've always been a guy that focuses on my academics. Academics for me kind of goes above everything, and I want to work towards getting my business degree.
Business degree. That makes a lot of sense because you're known around the league as a guy that seems to know a lot of different things about what's going on around the league, and you're the type of guy that has the opportunity, if he wants to, in the future, that you could be somebody to be seen in the league office. Is that something that you want to continue to be an ambassador for the Ontario Hockey League? You're a guy that's played 5 years in the league with the landscape changing in junior hockey with the NCAA agreement and everything like that. Do you sort of want to continue on to be an ambassador for the Ontario Hockey League, once you leave the league here?
Yes, for sure. I definitely want to stay involved, and I think staying involved in the league and staying involved in the community is something that I definitely want to do.
Yeah, and talking about what it's been like to be back here in Niagara and put on those hometown colors. Like, does it bring back moments to when you were maybe coming to Ice Dogs games as a kid and getting to be able to see friends and family, a little bit more? Like, just how much more meaningful do you think it is to be able to kind of have your swan song in junior hockey, here in downtown St. Catharines, and what the Niagara region means to you?
Yeah, it's obviously awesome. I think a few weeks ago, really, when we played Kitchener and the sold out and at the Meridian, kind of brought back like me going to games when I was a little kid. The rink was always sold out; it was always packed, no matter what game you went to. So, my first sellout here on this team was definitely something that I kind of related to really, really closely with.
Your family, obviously, it's a hockey family. Your sisters Kaylee and Chelsea represented Canada at the World U18s just this past January. What have they meant to you as a person, your career, and maybe, as the big brother there, what maybe has been part of that relationship as you guys have grown as people and players?
Yeah, I definitely am. I support them and I give them lots of advice. It was obviously special to see them play at the U18s this year. I'm not being able to go because of my hockey, but I watched every game, and seeing them achieve their goals and their dreams and aspirations of playing for Hockey Canada and also going to the University of Connecticut in September has been a goal of theirs since they were little girls, and seeing them achieve that special.
Was there a little bit of a healthy competition with you guys growing up as siblings? Those mini stick games or those road hockey games you guys probably had. The battles that you had with your sisters growing up.
Oh yeah, tons of mini stick hockey games and competition, even ODRs in the winter. We were always on outdoor rinks playing against each other and just fooling around.
For sure. I'm sure your parents enjoyed that one, having to break up those fights sometimes. But regardless of that, Grayson, when you talk about just growing up in the league and now you're a fifth year player, like, what would sort of be the advice that you'd give to young players coming in the league? I know you've got some young players there on the Niagara roster that are 16-year-olds or in their first years in the Ontario Hockey League. Like, what is sort of your message to them as they continue to try to learn it and grow in this league, just like you had at one point in your career?
Yeah, I always thought like when older guys would say, "Oh, it goes by quick," and you never really think like, "Oh, it really does." But that's one piece of advice that I would give is it goes by really quickly. You don't think it does, but it does, and use every day to your advantage, get better every day, because it does go by quick.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as where you guys are right now in the standings, sitting there, it's really tight between, that 4 and 7 spot in the Eastern Conference. You obviously want to get the best seeding possible to give yourself the best chance in that first round matchup. And Ottawa, a team you're going to play, tomorrow night in Friday Night Faceoffs, a team that you could face in the first round as well. So I guess what is the message down the stretch here for the final 15 or so games of the season to try to make sure you guys are ramping up for, what is going to be playoff type hockey down the stretch, and then getting into hopefully the first of a few deep playoff matchups there.
Yeah, the next 15 games are huge, exact for the standings and who we get in the playoffs. But I think we're game by game. We're not looking too far ahead right now. Every game's a playoff game for us right now. Every game's a must win for us, and that's the way that we're looking at it.
Yeah, and when you talk about you've played against Ottawa twice this year, but it was early in the season, back in November, in back-to-back weeks there. So maybe both teams have changed since then. Some moves, some different players in and out, things like that. So what's the approach as you go up against a team like this that is near or at the top of the standings, sort of flip-flopping with Brantford there as one of the top teams? Like, do you kind of use this as a measuring stick game to see where you guys are at and try to not be intimidated by a team that's higher than you in the standings?
Yeah, we use every game. I think every game's a big game, and doesn't matter who we're playing, but we know what Ottawa brings. We need to play our game. We need to play our structure, and we cannot give them chances to capitalize.
Yeah, how has that sort of been the last few weeks? You've been on a few road trips with the team. You had the road trip this past weekend, and you have another one this weekend. Like, how much is that something that maybe you're going to miss, and how much do those sort of really bring a team together, especially with this group that has a lot of new names, a lot of new players that have never played together, and just that bonding off the ice and being able to have these experiences with each other, to have that blend over to success on the ice?
Yeah, I think these road trips going in the playoffs are huge. I think spending a lot of time with each other, getting to know each other on a more personal level. Road trips are, I think, the funnest. The bus rides are the best, and yeah, it's something that I'm obviously going to miss going forward.
How have you enjoyed the coaching staff this year with Chris Barch, former NHL player, a guy that had the scratch and claw for everything that he got at the National Hockey League level, a grinder type player? Like, how much have you enjoyed learning from him and knowing what the amount of work the work ethic that it takes to be able to be successful at this game, not only at the junior level but going on to the collegiate level and the pro level?
Yeah, I've loved it. I think Chris has done an amazing job here. The intensity that he brings every day is something that I love. How hard we work in practice, the commitment we have to the rink and the game is something that Chris I've never seen before, and I think it's rubbing off on all of us on the team.
So as far as from a guy that's in his final season, you're really getting to see some of these young players every single day. Like, who are some of the guys that, in your opinion, that have really stuck out, and maybe you're trying to give some tips to those younger guys and those guys that are going to go on to have long careers, that not only at the junior hockey level but possibly the pro level, and just trying to pass your knowledge on to those guys?
Yeah, I would say a couple defensemen. I would say is Sebastian Delauche and even Barnesy there, and then up front with Ryerson Edgar, and then this past weekend with Mullins coming up and playing some very well hockey for us. I trying to just kind of show those guys the ways and how this kind of league works.
Growing up in the Niagara region, I know you kind of cross paths with Callum Shanowski a little bit. You guys had a friendly, I guess, battle in the playoffs last year when Barry played Niagara. How good is it to sort of been playing alongside him again, and everything that comes with the full circle of where hockey can take you with playing against or with alongside a friend?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Me and Chanowski were best friends, and yeah, last year playoff series was obviously fun to play against them, but now it's more fun when we joke around about it.
Anyways, Grayson, I guess as we leave you here, finishing off your OHL career and your 5 years in the league, like, what would be, I guess, the piece of advice you would tell 16-year-old Grayson Tiller as he was coming to play his first game for the Barrie Colts?
I would say enjoy every moment, every game. You never know when things are going to happen, when things are going to change. So I would just say enjoy every day, and it goes by quick.
There's Grayson Tiller, overage defenseman and assistant captain of the Niagara IceDogs. Grayson, really appreciate you taking the time to join us ahead of Friday Night Faceoff and a big game up in Ottawa against the 67s. Congratulations on a great OHL career so far, over 250 games played in this league. Wish you all the best going forward, finishing off the season and, into the playoffs and everything like that. And then with your future endeavors in school and in hockey at Brock University.
Thank you.
Fourth Wall is the official merchandise supplier of the Armchair GM Sports Network. Our user-friendly site is print to order with no minimum items or inventory needed, shipped right to your doorstep safely and efficiently from their North American warehouse. All of our logos are available to supporters, listeners, and viewers can have the best variety available to them for their swag preferences. All items are priced as low as possible, allowing everybody who wants to support our business with the opportunity to do so, receiving quality and comfortable products in return. Shop today at fourthwall.com with the direct link to our Armchair merch store in the description of all episodes and in the bio of all of our social media accounts. Become an Armchair GM today with Fourth Wall.
Hi, this is Larry Millett. You're listening to OHL Overtime.
Friday Night Faceoff tomorrow night from TD Place up in Ottawa against the Niagara IceDogs. Heard from Grayson Tiller a little bit earlier on today's episode from the Niagara IceDogs perspective. We're going to jump over to the home side here with the Ottawa 67s and its draft-eligible goaltender, Ryder Fedderolf. Ryder, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. Exciting times for an American-born player, obviously, with the way that the Olympics are going right now, and for you being up in a new country, playing in Canada. First off, how have you been adjusting to the capital city up there in Ottawa?
Yeah, no, it's been great. Everyone on the team's made it pretty easy. Smooth transition. Built's been great. Obviously, great organization to come into, and we were ready to go right from the start. So it's been great so far.
Yeah, for you to growing up in Swickley, Pennsylvania, was hockey always the main thing there? I know in America, football, baseball, multi-sport athletes are a major thing. Was hockey always sort of the path you wanted to take, or what other sports maybe were you interested in growing up?
Yeah, I'd say from a young age, hockey was always my favorite. Watching Sidney Crosby, Letang, Malkin, and Fleury all play in Pittsburgh, which was pretty awesome. And then having my three siblings, older brother, older sister, and then younger sister, they were all into it, and that was kind of the way we bonded at the start. And it's been just been loving it ever since. So
a lot of Penguins games growing up, then I assume.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're on the road in Toronto for a hockey tournament, got to go over there for a game or two. It was pretty awesome.
For sure, and for you, I mean the journey started off there at Gilmore Academy. And then you moved over to the Tri-City Storm in the USHL as well for a quick cup of coffee before coming to the Ontario Hockey League. I'm sure that was an exciting time when the NCAA and CHL sort of had that agreement where players with that commitment could come and play in the Ontario Hockey League and the CHL more specifically. When did you start to really believe as a free agent that the OHL was going to be a possibility for you, and then to sign your contract last June?
Yeah. I mean, as soon as the rule changed, I was pretty on top of it. Seeing the OHL, knowing that was, my I was in that territory. I was pretty excited. I got to talk to a few teams. Lucky enough to come up here for development camp. Had a good showing. Offered me a contract. Super excited to sign. Kind of been been running with it ever since, and it's been super fun. But yeah, always the OHL was always an awesome path, and I was super excited when the rule flipped and I was able to come up here. So
do you think maybe it helped you coming in as a little bit older of a goaltender? I know you're still a young goaltender, you're draft eligible, but maybe instead of coming in as a 16-year-old, coming in as a 17-year-old, having a little bit more experience, a little bit more development under your belt coming into the OHL, maybe a year older than some of these goaltenders try to, at least. And then having obviously, the success that you've had leading the OHL in save percentage, second in goals against average, and just having a fantastic season.
Yeah. I mean, I think a big thing I believe in is not rushing my development. So I think playing another year AAA at 18U was a good decision. And I think, you can see it's paid off a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I think I've been, working pretty hard, getting out there as much as I can, extra ice, and working with our goalie coach here, and just competing, trying to get better. And I think that's huge for any player, but also obviously any goalie coming into the league at a young age. You got to be able to adjust, stay on for extra ice, take extra shots, that kind of thing. Just, yeah, not trying to get off early. So I'd say just putting in the work.
Yeah, for goaltenders, I know there's a lot of, superstitions or just rituals that you do to kind of get ready for games and things like that. Like, is there anything specific that you like to do maybe on game days or, specific meals or certain things, that same type of routines and to try to get yourself ready for games?
Yeah, I would say I'm probably a pretty loose goalie. I try not to be too superstitious. Coming from AAA hockey, anything can happen. You don't know when you're going to get to the rink and all that stuff. So I don't want to be thrown off my game going into a game. So, kind of get there around 2.5 hours early, stretch, do a little ball work, and then, just play some sewer with the boys. Just enjoy the time there. So, yeah, just try to stay pretty light and just enjoy the game.
How would you rate your sewer game? I know those goalies, you guys have to have a lot of left to right movement, so you'd probably typically be better than some of the skaters out there. How would you rate it comparatively to your teammates?
I think I'm pretty good. I kind of go for the highlight touches though a little bit too often. The behind the backs, they don't always work, but when it gets off, it's pretty cool. So I think I'm pretty good, but I don't know if everyone else would agree with me.
Yeah, we'll have to ask some of the other 67s. Maybe I'll ask Kenny Walls what his opinion is of it, because he sees you guys on the road sometimes. But you mentioned your siblings, obviously your brother Hunter at Baudouin College and your sister Hannah at Princeton, older siblings. Like, how much have they meant to your hockey career and your upbringing? And you guys obviously probably had some battles in the basement or outside on the road, playing hockey, growing all the way up. How much do they mean to you in your hockey career, and then also just as siblings for you?
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, having them, obviously my brother's 5 years older than me, so growing up, I always had those harder shots, which I think, helped me a ton. And actually for a while he wasn't allowed to shoot full strength because I was still a little bit too young, but yeah, I mean, I think, growing up playing downstairs, taking shots from both of them every day helped me a ton. Especially, during COVID when rinks were closed, being able to skate often with them and taking shots every day. I think that helped me a ton and, playing up a little bit, seeing what the game's going to be like in 2 years at that age, I think was huge for me. And yeah, we definitely compete with pretty much everything. We play in street hockey, some slashes, some cross checks, a lot of chirping going on all the time. So it was fun. It's been great.
And you mentioned moving away from home sort of for the first time. How much are you sort of enjoying Canada? I'm sure it's a little bit different than what you're used to in Pennsylvania, or our money's different. Maybe some of our food's different. The people maybe different as well. Like, how has the adjustment been, and how have you sort of fit in as an American? For those bragging rights you can have sometimes over the Canadians when you have those battles between countries in the hockey world.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's been great. I think, moving away from home to go to prep school at a young age was also a big choice. And I think it paid off well. Being able to go there for 3 years and be away from home. And then now I'm able to come up here and it's, I'm not caught off my game because I'm not used to being away from home, being independent. So I think that's worked out pretty well. And yeah, coming up here, it's been great. We're a super close team. So it was pretty easy to join in at the start and yeah, just having a lot of fun and a few other Americans on the team. So it made it easier to come in here and have a little bit of pride too. So it's fun. And, with the Olympics going on, obviously, hopefully we see a Canada, America final here. And yeah, we'll see. We'll get the chirps down to the end here. So
for sure. And I know you're a goaltender, but you get to sort of see him on a daily basis. Dave Cameron, your head coach, what can you tell us about him? Everybody talks about his defensive systems, and he's been doing it for so long. He's been, coaching in this league. He's had a lot of success coaching 1,000 games. What can you tell us about Dave Cameron and the way he prepares and the way he prepares you guys for games, game in and game out, for the most success?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's an awesome coach, and obviously, like you said, reaching 1,000 OHL games is huge. Obviously, an amazing milestone to hit. And I mean, I think you can tell he's obviously a veteran, and it's super cool to be coached by him, and everyone has a tremendous amount of respect for him. And, he lets us come in every day and enjoy our time at the rink, which I think is huge. And he loves to compete too. Like, he's always smiling on the ice, loves the boys getting after it a little bit. So I think he's an awesome coach, and yeah, super cool to play under him. And obviously, our system, yeah, we play it pretty well, and that's all thanks to him. So
yeah, I wouldn't want to get one of those stares that he gives though if they miss a call on the ice or something like that. Definitely wouldn't want to be on the other end of a Dave Cameron death stare. But regardless of that, Ryder, I mean, where you guys are, it's obviously been a fantastic season for the 67. You've clinched playoff spot already. You and the Brantford Bulldogs are really battling for that number one spot in the Eastern Conference. it could really go either way. It could go all the way down to, the final week of the regular season to decide the East Division champion and the number one seed there in the East between you two teams. So, how has that battle sort of been? And you could possibly be facing the IceDogs you're going to see tomorrow night in a first round playoff matchup as well. So what is sort of the mindset the last 15 or so games as you guys sort of ramp up, get into that playoff stretch and then right into a first round playoff series?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, I think it's been great. And playing against those guys 4 times it's been awesome this year. And I mean, I think, it showed our team we had a lot of growth. And, adding a few key details there at the trade deadline was huge. And I think our last game there showed, what we can do when we're on top of our game. And I think that's what we're looking to do down the stretch here. And for these next 15 games, just focus on what we can control and play our game and, use our power play, penalty kill to our advantage and try to get home ice here in the playoffs.
You guys are 2-0 against the IceDogs this season. You have a win against them. Both matchups were back in November, though, so both teams look a little bit different, as you mentioned, picking up some players at the trade deadline. And you guys obviously have high hopes come playoff time. So what's the mindset going into tomorrow night's game against the IceDogs there, a team that's really trying to jockey for position? And again, it's a team that you could face in the playoffs, so you could use it as sort of a preview in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think for our team, it's just, hit the reset button, stick to our game. And obviously, coming this Friday, we're going to expect a full-on playoff game. Like, everyone's going to be going. It's going to be a pretty hard-hitting game. Going to be a lot of chances. So I think, we're just going to stick to our game, shut them down, and, try to get the win and just play our game.
When you look at the statistics and everything and how great your season has been, like, I know you sort of have to look at your statistics as part of your job, but do you really rank yourself against the other goaltenders in the league? And I guess just how much do you really look at what's going on around the league to have a scouting report for yourself on what other players are doing well, the scouting report on certain players that you need to watch out for? Like, how much as a goaltender are you doing much preparation with the stats and have some feedback for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really pay attention too much to stats. In junior hockey, anything can happen. If a guy's a shooter and he doesn't have the shooting lane, he can become a passer that game. So, I think in junior hockey, everyone's kind of finding their identity and anything can happen. So, just kind of, listen to, our pre-scout, and, trust my teammates. They know their job. I know mine. And, just kind of do our best to work together and, try to get the win. So I think, this Friday's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great matchup. We're definitely excited to, show what we've got.
Going through the grind of a 68-game season here in the OHL, it really prepares you for that next level. Has there been one moment or one road trip that sort of stuck out to you as far as really building that camaraderie within the guys and just yourself and really feeling comfortable with how long the season can be and those long travel days and long nights in hotels and hockey rinks and the bus? Like, how much you take some positive things from all these experiences here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's been great. Obviously, we had a lot of road trips at the start of the year, which I think helped a lot because, we were all together on the road in the bus. So I think they kind of helped us, grow closer, get together. I think that was great. And I think it's why, our team's so close and why we work so well together. So I can't really, pinpoint an exact road trip, but, we're always in each other's rooms. We're walking over to get some food together. Buses are fun. Did team karaoke one time. That was pretty fun. So yeah, I mean, I think our team's just really close. We all love each other, all support each other. So it's a great environment we have.
How would you grade your karaoke skills?
I think I was pretty good. But one of our guys' rooms did a Slovakian rap. So I think that took the prize there, but it was pretty good.
Well, maybe we have to learn some Slovakian rap or something like that. But Ryder Fedderolf, draft-eligible goaltender for the Ottawa 67s. Ryder, thanks a lot for doing this. Best of luck tomorrow night against the IceDogs and down the stretch here with an exciting group there in Ottawa looking to do big things. So all the best down the stretch.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.
There were the two interviews with the gentleman we were able to speak to this week in preparation of Friday Night Faceoff. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. from TD Place in Ottawa. Thank you very much to overage defender Grayson Tiller and draft-eligible goaltender Ryder Fedderolf for taking the time to get to know them a little bit here on the show, preview the game, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that insight from those two players here in the Ontario Hockey League at different points in their careers, but great perspective as well. Both players, as you heard there, have hockey in their blood, grew up playing against their siblings in hockey, gone on or are about to go on to play at the next level. And it's always great to hear the stories of those hockey families growing up, how things came together for them and where their journeys have taken them respectively. So hopefully you guys enjoyed another great episode. Again, we'll have a post game on X Spaces following the game. You can give that a follow at Armchair GM Pod, and the X Spaces will pop up live when we do record a few minutes after the Friday Night Faceoff game ends between the Niagara IceDogs, Ottawa 67s. I'll be breaking down that game as well as recapping another busy night within the Ontario Hockey League with 7 games on the schedule. We'll have some guests on to help us break down that, hopefully, and give you guys a solid post-game wrap-up of Friday Night Face-Off here within the Ontario Hockey League, and more specifically here on the Armchair GM Sports Network through our OHL Overtime coverage. Again, as always, thank you to the OHL for their cooperation in continuing on with this project, and thank you to the Niagara IceDogs and Ottawa 67s for their cooperation as well in setting up these interviews ahead of time so that we could be able to get you guys out this episode a day before Friday Night Face-Off and get you guys the lead up and set up for what should be another great matchup here between the 6th-seeded Niagara IceDogs and the 3rd-seeded Ottawa 67s. Right now would be a round 1 playoff series within the Ontario Hockey League. So fans can watch live and free on Flow Hockey's YouTube channel, X, and Facebook, as well as the Ontario Hockey League's Facebook page. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. on Friday from TD Place in Ottawa. No subscription is required to watch Friday Night Faceoff, but will be needed to watch all other Ontario Hockey League games. Friday Night Faceoff is a weekly featured OHL game streamed live and free across Flow Hockey social platforms. Hopefully you guys can join us tomorrow night for Friday Night Faceoff, as well as all the other games on a busy slate in the Ontario Hockey League for what is always an exciting Friday night in February as we reach the push to the Ontario Hockey League playoffs. Until next time, my name is Brandon Caputo, the host of the program. Thank you to everybody that tuned in on our video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, smash that bell, as well as comment over your thoughts on today's episode. And thank you to all of our loyal on-demand audio platform listeners for their continued support as well of this show and this network. So until next Friday, my name is Brandon Caputo, and that's it for another episode of OHL Overtime, Friday Night Face-Off preview episode right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. We'll talk to you again very soon. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.